On tonight's edition of The Overtime, NAU men's cross country competed in the NCAA Championships. We've got all the details. And the Lumberjack football took on rival school Southern Utah this past weekend for their season finale. The NAU volleyball team played in the Big Sky Championship finals. All that and more up next on The Overtime. Thank you for joining us and welcome to this edition of The Overtime, Northern Arizona's only sports show. I'm your host, April Hettinger. We have a packed show for you tonight with a lot of local sports action, and joining me is sports reporter Jacquie Lamarr.
Thanks, April. I'm really excited to be here tonight.
All right, thank you, Jacquie. Let's start off with the biggest news of the night. The NAU Lumberjacks have some new hardware in their trophy case after last weekend. The men's cross-country team came home with NAU's first ever NCAA title. How do you think they pulled off this Hollywood ending in such conditions, and who was the key factor for this victory?
You know, April, the men had those 4 NCAA All-American runners to lean on, and it was no surprise that they carried this race on their backs. Futsum Zienasellassie, Matt Baxter, Tyler Day, and Andrew Truard are all runners that we have been watching since they started in this program. And let's not forget, one of the most important key factors behind this victory was Coach Eric Heins himself, who will leave NAU as one of the best coaches this program has ever seen. This was the 9th NCAA Cross Country Championship appearance for the Jacks with Heins, and in those 9 appearances, Heins has podiumed 6 times in the program's previous 17 appearances at Nationals over a span of 45 years. The Jacks had only had 5 podium finishes.
Futsum Zienasellassie leaves NAU with this victory as well as many other accomplishments through his time at NAU in cross country as well as track and field. In 2014, Zienasellassie finished 3rd in the NCAA Championships, leading the Jacks in 4th place finish. In 2013, Zienasellassie finished 4th and led NAU to 2nd place finish in the NCAA National Championships. Let's move on to our next topic for the night. The NAU football team had a rough finish in their season finale game against Southern Utah. The men lost 48-21 and lost a chance to play in the conference tournament. Looking back on this season, Jacquie, what are some things that the Jacks could have done better, and what are some highlights?
You know, April, I think looking back on this season, the men were 4 for 4 for conference play, and while they did win some key games at Montana and Montana State, they really failed to gain some momentum against those larger programs in the conference. I mean, Eastern Washington and Northern Colorado still dominated them, but I think that the Jacks did have a strong showing this season. Emmanuel Butler had multiple stellar performances, and I think he's going to be a player to watch for the next couple of years. The Jacks will say goodbye to 19 seniors this year, including honorable mention senior linebacker Jake Thomas and safety Keith Graham, but I think that they're going to be back for more next year.
Well, NAU will miss having those seniors on the field. Despite an ugly record at the end of the year, there were definitely some bright spots for the Jacks. They named defensive tackle Pili Anau and receiver Emmanuel Butler as the team's defense and offense most valuable players. The senior defensive tackle led the Big Sky with 8.5 sacks, and as usual, Butler was a human highlight reel, pulling in 69 catches for 9 touchdowns and 1,003 yards. Moving on over to the hardwood, the NAU women's volleyball team has ended their season well. They fell in first round of the Big Sky tournament to North Dakota in 3 straight sets. The Jacks entered the tournament as the number 3 seed and were determined to become the first ever back-to-back champions, but just couldn't seem to pull it off. What do you think was a factor in this game, and how will their loss of 3 key seniors affect this team?
I think for the volleyball team that losing Jensen, Jacobson, and Lofstead will be a big blow to the Jacks rotation. They have been 3 key players all season long, and it'll be tough to replace them in the upcoming year. But, as I've said before, I do really believe in the underclassmen of this team. We've seen great performances from Abby Aiken and Brittany Dorsey, so I don't think that the Jacks will have too much of an uphill battle trying to replace those players when, they should really look no further than their own team.
Well, it would be tough without those seniors next year, so NAU will depend on some of the upperclassmen like freshman Abby Aiken, who had 324 kills and 180 blocks during her high school career. Sophomore Brittany Dorsey ranked third on the team with 11 solo blocks, 89 block assists, and 100 total blocks in the 2015 season. Now let's take a look at the men's basketball season. The Lumberjacks just recently played the University of Washington and fell 58-92 against the Huskies. It's still really early in the season, so Jackie, what do you predict from the team this year?
You know, April, they have only played 5 games, and against some great competition. They picked up a win against Benedictine Mesa a couple weeks ago, and we can see some momentum being built for conference play here in the Jack seasons. You know, I think that starting off with a competitive schedule could be a great thing for this team. You know, they'll get a chance to play together and start to build some chemistry and find their rhythm before they get to those crucial conference games. Now, last year, senior player Ako Kulano was the top scorer for NAU 8 times and grabbed the most rebounds 15 times. He also averaged 12 points, 4 points, and 7 points, 2 rebounds on the season. And in 2014 and 2015 season, Ako ranked second in 3-point field goal percentages.
Thank you, Jackie. Hopefully the team can pick up some momentum and Ako Kaluna can lead the team for his final season at NAU. We'll have to see how the rest of this basketball season plays out.